Overpowered spells. What are they? Well, I mean, they're spells that are overpowered, but I'm pretty sure that was obvious. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to use the definition that they have a much larger effect on the game than people might initially think. And we're going to talk about 5 of them right now. First up on this list, we have the second level spell, Levitate. You choose a creature within 60 feet, and they have to make a Constitution saving throw, or they are levitated up in the air. But you probably could have guessed that since the spell is called Levitate. Anyways, the overpowered part of this spell is the fact that if they fail their initial con save, then they're stuck there levitating for 10 minutes with no second chance to save. Once they're up in the air, they're stuck there. And the spell specifically states that that creature levitating cannot move in any other way aside from pushing or pulling a stationary object like a wall or a person. So as long as you stay within the 60 feet range of this spell, they're going to be stuck there for the full duration of 10 minutes, all while you're slinging other spells, shooting bolts, or whatever other things you want to throw at them. Now obviously this spell is significantly more powerful against melee combatants without a ranged option, so might want to verify that before you pull this one out. But even if they have a ranged attack option, this is still a valid choice of spell, because area of effect spells on top of this work wonders against the creature. Since the creature is levitating there with no way of moving, spells like Moonbeam, Cloud of Daggers, or even Spiritual Weapon become much more effective because the creature can't move out of them. They're literally just a sitting duck. They're literally just a floating duck while all of these spells and bolts are coming at them with nothing they can do for 10 minutes. So yeah, that's Levitate. Not a spell you would initially think to be overpowered, but when you think about all the actual possibilities here, it's pretty strong. Next up, we have a spell that I don't think I've ever actually mentioned on the channel before, and that's the 5th level spell, Temporal Shunt. This is effectively a buffed counterspell. Kind of. You can use your reaction whenever an attack or a spell is used to force a wisdom saving throw or that creature wastes that attack or spell. How the spell works is it moves the creature to another point in time where they then reappear at the start of their next turn. Meaning if they fail their save, that creature is removed from combat until the start of their next turn. As an example, let's say creature casts Power Word Kill on you. You then use your reaction to cast Temporal Shift and they fail their wisdom saving throw. Their spell fails and they are shoved forward in time to the start of their next turn. Now, for those 6 seconds until the start of their next turn, you and your allies have all the time in the world to prepare an onslaught of whatever you need to prepare for once they reappear. Ready some actions, knock some arrows, prepare some spells, whatever, they're going to have a pretty bad time when they reappear at the start of their next turn with all the ready actions set at them. Now, to clarify, this spell is different than Counterspell. Similar, but different. Technically speaking, Counterspell is much more useful against legendary creatures. Since it doesn't require a save, it's actually just a straight roll to see if the spell will fail. But Temporal Shift is a more unique way of dealing with things that aren't just spells. For example, if someone makes a melee attack, you can use Temporal Shift so that attack just doesn't go through as long as they fail their save. Whereas Counterspell is limited to spells, Temporal Shift isn't. The wording may be a bit weird, but if you can get past it, it's an incredibly powerful spell, so honestly you might want to take some time to look at it once you get access to another 5th level spell slot. Okay, next up we have Melf's Minute Meteors, which is technically the first damaging spell we have on today's list. The first thing I want to say about this spell, that a lot of people are going to hate, is that this spell is technically better than Fireball. There, I said it, it's out in the open, but give me a second, put your pitchforks and torches down for one moment while I explain. It's a 3rd level spell like Fireball that creates 6 little tiny meteors that orbit around your head that you can then use to send up to 120 feet to attack a creature. Each single meteor deals 2d6 fire damage or half as much on a successful dex save. Now, basic math shows that this spell technically deals 12d6 damage, which puts it a whole 4d6 dice above a normal Fireball spell. Now, before I get hate for this, I do need to say that I do understand that having multiple dex saves increases the likelihood that they're going to succeed, thereby taking less damage. I'm just saying that 12d6 is greater than 8d6. 4 extra dice allows for potentially more damage than an actual Fireball. So, anyways, the power from the spell isn't actually from the amount of dice rolled, it's technically how you use the spell. Minute Meteors is a setup spell, where it takes an action to use, but then on your turns thereafter you set this up, you can then use your bonus action to send up to 2 meteors at a creature within 120 feet. And there it is, right there, my favorite thing to talk about on this channel is weaponizing your bonus action. Sure, you might spend a turn setting this spell up, but for 3 turns thereafter, you can not only send 2 meteors for 4d6 damage total, you can then also cast a Fireball on top of that. Meaning that if you have the 3rd level spell slots available, or even higher technically, you could deal 12d6 damage each turn for the next 3 turns as long as you cast Fireball and then use your bonus action for the meteors. And honestly, that's an incredibly powerful combo, but it's a topic for another video. Let's move on to the fourth spell for today. Wither and Bloom. This spell was added with the new D&D book Strixhaven, Curriculum of Chaos, and honestly is one of my favorite new spells added to the game. This is a second level spell that affects every creature of your choice within a 10-foot radius. Each of those creatures takes 2d6 necrotic damage or half as much on a failed con save. However, the reason I like this spell is because it has another effect. After you deal the damage, you can then choose one creature within that radius to regain hit points by rolling a hit die, plus your spellcasting ability modifier. You can upcast this spell to increase both the damage and the healing, making the spell incredibly versatile in combat. Not only can you deal damage in a relatively large radius, but you can also heal a person that's looking a little rough. And this spell is a perfect example of what I'm talking about when I ask for more unique spells added to the game. You get to do some damage, a little bit of healing, and overall it's got some great flavor with the whole Wither and Bloom imagery. I tend to think of this as like a druid draining vitality from their enemies and infusing their allies with strength, but honestly it fits really nicely with the necromancer motif as well. Anyways, a really cool spell with also some nice utility. Which brings us to our fifth and final spell for today's video, Rhyme's Binding Ice. This is a second level spell that was recently added with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons that is also another one of my personal favorite spells. It creates a 30-foot cone of cold energy that deals 3d8 damage or half as much on a successful con save. The thing about this spell that I really like is that if they fail their con save, they're literally frozen in place for an entire minute until them or another creature uses a full action to break them out of the ice. And while technically frozen isn't a condition, it does reduce their speed to 0, meaning that they cannot move until someone spends their action to break them out. This spell is just flat out better than pretty much any second level spell aside from maybe Scourging Ray or the concentration spells. For comparison, Snylock's Snowball Swarm deals 3d6 damage and Agonar Scorcher deals 3d8 damage, meaning that Rhyme's Binding Ice not only deals more damage on average than the second level spell, but also has the added effect of freezing targets. Although I must admit, even though it's a very cool spell with really cool effects, it is a con save which is statistically the highest save amongst all creatures in D&D 5e. Overall, this spell is just flat out amazing. This is literally the exemplification of what a lot of players want from new spells. When I think of cold or ice damage, I think of slowing or freezing my enemies, and this spell does exactly that. It really does exemplify what an ice or cold spell should be, at least in my mind, and I truly believe D&D should have more spells like this. It might be from my MMO experience in the past, it might be just because I think it's cool, who knows, I might even be alone in that thought, but honestly, I really believe this spell is one of the best second level spells out there right now. But anyways, that is all I have time for in today's video. If you're interested in this kind of content, I have made other videos like this in the past that I've linked in the description box below for you to check out. Also, if you have any spells that you think are super strong that I haven't mentioned, leave a comment. I read them all, reply to almost every single one, and who knows, I might even feature it in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on Friday.